Dr. Deidre Charles, Director of the Division of Student Services and Development, the UWI St. Augustine. Ms. Latoya George, Manager, Head Office, Group Human Resources, and other representatives of the Republic Bank Limited. Mrs. Joanna Joseph Manrique, Executive Board Member of the UWI Alumni Association, Trinidad and Tobago Chapter. Managers and Head of the Division of Student Services and Development. Members of our distinguished panel, specially invited guests, Ms. Ashwarya Maharaj, Guild President, and other members of the Guild of Students, the UWI St. Augustine, faculty, staff, and students of the UWI St. Augustine, sponsors, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and thank you all for coming out today to be part of our Rising Professionals panel discussion, Alumni Voices. This is our first, yeah? You want to clap? This is our first UWI RBL World of Work program event for semester 2, and with our amazing lineup of panel speakers here to discuss the relevant and practical topic of using transferable skills to navigate the workplace, we know our students will walk away with many gems of knowledge to further assist you in your work, in your World of Work preparations. I would like now to invite the Director of Student Services and Development, Dr. Deidre Charles, to share a few words of greetings from the university. Let us warmly welcome her to the stage.
All protocols observed. Good afternoon, everyone. I am delighted to see each one of you this afternoon at our World of Work panel discussion. A special acknowledgement to our students. Your presence here today distinguishes you as individuals who actively seek learning opportunities, particularly those beyond the classroom. By being here, you showcase your openness to networking and engaging with new people. Moreover, your participation in what I am confident will be a lively discussion sets you apart as individuals capable of critically analyzing new information for practical application. The focal point of this afternoon's panel discussion revolves around utilizing transferable skills to navigate the workplace. I will repeat that. Utilizing transferable skills to navigate the workplace. Current global hiring trends emphasize the essential requirements for integrating competencies and developing transferable skills alongside the technical expertise acquired through your study program. Employers, both locally and regionally, consistently express their desire to see these attributes in the ideal candidate. In other words, students, they don't only want your technical knowledge, they are looking for other skills from you and competencies. This approach allows you to distinguish yourself as you navigate the transition into the workplace and strive to advance in your career journey. Today, we are fortunate to have some of our esteemed alumni who were once in the same position you are sitting where you are sitting right now. They have forged distinctive paths, transitioning from final year students to the accomplished professionals they are today. And might I add, I'm a very proud mother hen. During this session, they will share their stories, detailing how they navigate the professional world, overcoming challenges, and distinguished themselves by leveraging their transferable skills, competencies, and knowledge gained from their degrees. Students, I understand that some of you are already aware, but it's essential to emphasize the importance of active listening and asking many questions during this session. Let it serve as a source of encouragement, reaffirming that you are all well on your way to forging your own path towards success in the workplace and beyond. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Charles, for those encouraging words. We're going to move straight along and invite our sponsor, Republic Bank, to bring greetings. They have been our WOW partners, supporting us in this very important student initiative for 10 plus years, helping us grow from strength to strength and impacting thousands of students with this program. Let us welcome Ms. Latoya George, Manager, Head Office, Group Human Resources, to the stage.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. All protocols observed. It gives me great pleasure to join you in celebrating the launch and panel discussion of the UWI World of Work 2024. Republic Bank is a very proud partner with the University of the West Indies in supporting this esteemed program for yet another year. We believe that the UWI World of Work is one of the best and most comprehensive initiatives of its kind in our country. Third-year students, rest assured that there is no better program to embrace your career potential and to advance your personal development than this one. As students on the verge of graduating, you are at the threshold of the next huge step in your lives. So it goes without saying that not only must you be prepared to seize all life opportunities, you must also place yourselves in the best possible position to realize them. That is why 2024 World of Work team, preparing the world of work, transferable skills to navigate workplace, is so relevant to the transition you're about to make. And Dr. Charles repeated it, right? So you know how important that is. The workplace is undergoing profound transformations. Technological advancements, as we know, globalization, and changing economic landscapes are reshaping the very fabric of professional life. In this dynamic environment, the ability to adapt quickly has become synonymous with success. For you to thrive, there are key transferable skills, and keyword again, transferable skills, that act as a compass in navigating the complexity of the workplace. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter whether you belong to the Faculty of Social Sciences or Science and Technology, Food and Agriculture, or Law. These skills can be learned by all students, irrespective of what degree you may undertake. Some of these skills include communication skills, adaptability and flexibility, critical thinking and problem solving, collaborative skills, digital skills, and emotional intelligence. And I know definitely today's panel will assist you in navigating these skills. Dear students, you'll find that if you gain competencies across the spectrum of skills, you'll be able to transcend job titles and industries. You'll also discover, as you fully immerse yourself into adulting, these skills will prove hugely advantageous, not only for your professional life, but in your personal life as well. Thankfully, your time here at UWI over the past years and this World of Work program is tailored to give you a head start. It's about broadening your vision and learning with a view to fulfilling the gap that exists between the acquisition of knowledge and application of that knowledge in the business world. Therefore, I encourage you to take World of Work seriously and to soak up all you can. Do this, and we guarantee that World of Work will be one of the most memorable experiences of your entire life. In this light, I must thank all the teams and partner organizations involved in making this program happen almost seamlessly year after year. Though you make it seem otherwise, I know that coordinating this event with so many moving parts is not an easy task. We at Republic Bank are honored to partner with you to facilitate this initiative that shapes our countries and, dare I say, our region's next generation of professionals, which are you, our students. And to you, the final year students participating in this year's World of Work, keep going forward. You're almost there, ready to embark on the next phase of your journey. Know that Republic Bank stands ready to assist in any way we can as you navigate school and the workplace, and for all the other personal milestones that fit your unique dream of a successful life. To this end, once again, I welcome you and thank you for joining with us, and I wish you all the best. Enjoy.
Thank you, Latoya, for your warm words. RBL sponsors the World of Work program as part of their Power to Make a Difference initiative. And I also would like to encourage you, the students, to follow them on Instagram under their name Adulting with Republic. There they share some really great financial advice, which you'll definitely benefit from. So, we have our final greetings from Mrs. Joanna Joseph Manrique, Executive Board Member of the Alumni Association, Trinidad and Tobago Chapter. Let us welcome her to the stage.
Good afternoon. I bring you greetings on behalf of the UWI Alumni Association, Trinidad and Tobago Chapter, at this auspicious and relevant contextual development. We are pleased to see such a sizable cohort of interested students willing to enhance their employability skills. Take full advantage of this as a learning opportunity. Take notes, ask questions, and implement the necessary changes, training, and skills harvesting to enhance your employability. We commend the innovation of the Division of Student Services for providing this invaluable exposure, insight, and experience to our students. We thank each member of this distinguished panel for taking the time to give back and enhance the human capital of Trinidad and Tobago and beyond. Teamwork, leadership abilities, problem solving, project management, and leadership abilities are skills that will benefit you twofold: as an asset in the world of work, as well as in your personal development throughout your lifelong journey. Best wishes in your academic journey and in all of your professional future undertakings. I thank you.
Thank you to Mrs. Joseph Manrique, whose presence reminds us of the importance of maintaining ties with your university even after you graduate. Many of our graduates keep in touch with us, as is an example here today with our panel discussion, and giving back to the campus is really important. So we really want to encourage you all to join the Alumni Association. So now we come to the best part, our panel discussion. But before we welcome our panelists on the stage, our panelists and our moderator on the stage, can we just take a moment to appreciate the decor and the wonderful furniture set provided to us by Unicoma? Students, if you're dreaming of that work from home setup, you definitely want to visit on courts.com or at their different locations nationwide to take a look at what they have to offer. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce the moderator of our Rising Professionals panel discussion, Alumni Voices using Transferrable Skills to Navigate the Workplace. Our moderator, Rukiah Scott, holds a BSc in Economics with a minor in Environmental Economics. She is currently pursuing a Master's of Science in Development Statistics at the Sir Arthur Lewis Institute of Social and Economic Studies at the UWI St. Augustine. Passionate about leadership, economics, politics, and diplomacy, Rukiah has been working with many civic society and governmental organizations and youth-led entities that enable her to exercise her passion. In her professional pursuits, she has worked in the fields of health economics and trade economics and is now working full-time in the financial economic sector. She is a two-time youth parliamentarian and is also the vice president of the Rotaract Club of Central Port of Spain. I know, right? Former president of the UWI Economic Society and a former Trinidad and Tobago Youth Ambassador to the United States. Let us warmly welcome Rukiah to the stage. And Rukiah, I will hand over to you and your panelists.
Thank you very, very much. It is such a pleasure to be here and see so many students. It really, really does bring me so much joy. I remember not too long ago when I was a student, I just didn't see the finish line, you know? I didn't know where my life would lead me after school, after graduation. And, you know, I think I have done a little bit for myself that I am proud of today. So we're gonna have a really dynamic discussion with 4 young people who have attended UWI and have shown us that that UWI success story is indeed possible. So I'm going to announce and welcome them on the stage. So our first panelist is Mr. Anand Mahabir, who is the lead associate of the Environmental Services Division at Advisors Next Door Limited, where he provides crucial research and technical support for organizations, allowing them to meet or exceed environmental benchmarks. He holds a bachelor's degree in environmental science and sustainable technology from the UWI and is currently pursuing a master's degree in disaster risk management and climate governance. His professional contributions have resulted in the success of various projects throughout the Caribbean, valued at over $725,000 US. Anand's enthusiasm resides in the areas of climate change adaptation, mitigation and resilience, environmental and social governance, green banking and sustainable finance, public health and sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Anand Mahabir. Up next, we have Ms. Shalika Hazel, who is currently a reliability engineer at Shell Trinidad and Tobago Limited. She is a 2017 graduate of the UWI, holding a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. As a young professional, she brings a fresh perspective and expertise to the field, demonstrating a commitment to excellence in engineering. Shalika's dedication to success and her approachability has helped shape Shalika into the exemplary young professional that she is today. Shalika, welcome. Take your seats. Our third panelist is Ms. Natalia Rupert, who completed her BSc in Human Nutrition and Dietetics in 2014 and completed her dietetic internship in 2015 at the UWI St. Augustine. During her time as a student, when not in class or in the library, she either spent her time at SPEC training for track and field or at the Student Advisory Services Department volunteering as a career facilitator under the supervision of Ms. Kathy Ann Lewis. Since 2016, Ms. Rupert has been a dedicated registered dietitian with a focus on promoting health through evidence-based nutrition and wellness practices. She has over 8 years of experience in both public and private sectors, currently serving as a community dietitian in public health clinics and as a nutrition consultant at private doctor clinics and fitness companies. As the past secretary of the Nutritionists and Dietitians Board Trinidad 2021-2023, Ms. Rupert has actively contributed to the regulation and advancement of the dietetics profession. In her private practice, she specializes in meal planning and offers virtual and face-to-face consultations, meal planning, nutrition workshops, and corporate wellness programs. She has a strong digital presence on social media as the Trini Dietitian on Instagram, as well as her own nutrition series, Do or Diet, on the Full-Time Network on YouTube. Her current hobbies include travel and exploring new restaurants. And last, but by no means least, our own hype man, as you can tell, Mr. Joshua Hamlet, attorney at law, who is also a Chevening Scholar 2022 from Trinidad and Tobago. He is a civil litigator who focuses on commercial matters, public law, and arbitration. He holds an LLM from Queen's Mary University, London, with distinction in comparative and international dispute resolution. His research focuses issues of enforcement of investor treaty arbitration awards. He pursued his legal education at the UWI Campus and the Hewarding Law School. Before pursuing his academic pursuits, focused on international relations with an MSc in Global Studies from the Institute of International Relations. In addition to his career, he is a branch committee member for the Caribbean arm of the Chartered Institute of Arbitration, where he assists with regional strategies to promote arbitration and commercial dispute resolution in the Commonwealth Caribbean. He volunteers in several nonprofit organizations and serves on the board of nonprofits in the area of culture and human capacity development. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your panel, educated, qualified, and are ready for you here today to bless you with the gems. So I'm now going to take my seat with these amazing 4 people. I'm actually quite happy today that I get to ask all the questions and not do so much of the answering, because I really want to hear some of their perspectives on a lot of things. And we also have 5 individuals from completely different fields. So I hope that you all here will be, jotting down your notes, but also ask questions for the Q&A round, because we want to hear from you and we want to be able to answer your questions. Yeah? Hello, testing. It's working? Yes, it's working. All right, great. So how are y'all feeling today, and how does it feel to be part of UWI's World of Work series?
Great, thanks for having us. Well, having me, I spoke for them, but having us. It feels really good to be here. It's nice to be back in UWI and to see all these new faces.
Yeah, I think for myself it's very personal for me, because I was part of the World of Work program, and it actually helped me get where I am today in my career. So I am the biggest advocate for World of Work. So yeah, it feels great for me to be back and to be able to contribute now to help persons who are going out into the work field.
Yeah, it certainly feels like a full circle moment for me, because just like Ms. Hazel, I too have been a student and a part of the World of Work, where I learned a lot of valuable skills as well. And I always believe that when you are in a position to bless others, or you're in a position to give back, you give back. So it's a great pleasure being here today to be able to just share knowledge with you all today.
I just want to control C over their answers. For me, I just to echo what my colleagues are saying, it's an amazing opportunity, and I enjoy being under the warm lights of LRC. Once again, I just hope to have a very productive conversation.
All right, nice. I also am a product of World of Work, where I currently work. I got that job through World of Work. So the program does work, and it's only going to work for you if you show up and you do your part and you really like seek those benefits the world of work has to offer. So we're going to get straight into the discussion, and I will go around the panel. Feel free to chip in when you want, and then we're going to have the Q&A towards the end, right? But essentially, we want to talk about how do we use the skills that we learn at university in the working world. Because as you all would have remembered, when I read their bios, 2 lines was their degree. Everything else is everything else they've done in school, after school, in their free time. So you know what we know as soft skills? The communication, the teamwork, your learnability as an individual. These are the skills that are now popping up as more and more required by employers, right? So if you can just reflect on your most valuable skills that you've developed during your university experience that you believe has helped you personally to transition from school into being a professional. So who would ever like to go first? You just go right ahead.
Well, okay, I guess I'll take the bird for this one. So I work as a consultant, and one of the key things that helps me in my job is time management and resiliency. When you have multiple clients, you need to be able to manage their work and prioritize who gets what done in what time frame. And I got that skill from being in my degree, where you used to have 2 sets of lab every week, plus the assignments, and you want to make your resume shine. So you're going to spend some time doing some extracurriculars. You want to also go hang out online. So you need to find time during that position in UWI to balance all these things and get everything done. I think I did an okay job at it. I mean, was it perfect? No. But has it come in helpful in my current job? Yes, because now I can actually manage clients and know, okay, today you get your deliverables done. Tomorrow I can take a break. Wednesday I'll work on Habitat or whoever the client is.
Okay, nice.
Unlike Anand, while I do agree time management is a great skill to have, I cannot say for myself that it is one that transferred through UWI, which means the workplace is still a work in progress. I still struggle with time management, but I will say that for myself, in terms of being able to communicate effectively and also being able to have a learner's mindset, is what we refer to it as in the workplace, is something, those 2 things are what help me the most in my job. So I communicate with persons my age, persons older than I am, persons younger than I am, in terms of actual age and also in terms of years of experience in the industry. And for me, like one of the biggest eye-openers, I would say, is how easy the job becomes once you can communicate effectively with the persons around you, and also how easy it becomes once you recognize what are your skills, what are your areas for development, and lean more to your skills and also recognize those things in your colleagues to know who you could depend on to do certain things, who you can lean upon, where everybody could contribute their parts to make the whole come together. Yeah.
I love that. So for me, I'm a realist. So I always believe in practicality and being very practical. And I believe at the university, as much as I appreciated my experience here, we did a lot of like theory, listening to your lecture, and you just basically just study to pass. I'm telling you, that's how it was back then, over a decade ago, when I was a student. So similar to Shalika, time management was not a thing that I learned at the university because it was a matter of you're going straight down to the wire, crunch time. When you have an assignment to do, because it's assignments coupled with preparation for exams. Because let's be real, they don't give us a break. Because again, they're preparing us for the world of work. And that's just how life is, right? You don't get a time to pause or a chance to pause. So it was always you're cramming down something, or you're literally studying straight up until the minute before time to go into the classroom for that exam. But at the end of the day, you always get it done. Am I right? It's like you always get it done. Because at the end of the day, we all share similar goals. Whether we may be doing different degrees, we may have different careers or different career paths. At the end of the day, the goal is just to get it done. So I will say for my time in UWI, I learned resilience, just being able to maneuver and just get through, just get it done. My story is also a bit different because I also became a mother while I was studying at the UE. And that's something that people don't talk about a lot, but I'm aware that some persons will have walked that similar path to me. And that did not stop me. It only made me want to push even more. I've had persons not believe that I will be as successful. I'm getting emotional even talking about it because it's taken me back. I've had persons like doubt me, not even think that I would be the person that I am today. Sitting here, like giving back, speaking to you all. But it really taught me resilience because if it's one thing, life does not stop. And you have to understand with willpower and with the grace of God that you just have to keep going and pushing. And in addition to resilience, teamwork, because at UE, everything was like team-based. Whether you like the person, you don't like the person, you all might be in the same degree, or it might just be like one of those random courses that you didn't know made sense, but it made sense now, right? Like financial accounting or OB or psychology, and it's like, wasn't a dietetic degree I have that has to do with me, but it like skills that you needed for along the way, which I was appreciative of. So even though you had this one particular degree, you picked up other courses along the way that assisted you to be the professional that you needed to be with the skills that you needed, not just for the job, but to navigate in specifically in the workplace. And yeah, when I said teamwork, I mean you just had to learn how to deal with persons, different personalities and whatnot. But you understand that everyone has different skill sets, that we don't know everything and we don't have all these skills. So always being able to lean on someone and being able to work as a team is very important, because in the workplace, even if you are an entrepreneur and you have your own business, you still always require some assistance or someone else to help you get the job done, whether it might be directly or indirectly. So really being a team player. And I understand that a lot of us put it on our resume. Every time you see a resume, team player, team player, team player.
Great collaborative skills.
Collaborative skills. And then when the time comes to actually prove that, a lot of us are individuals, like we just want to get it done, but learning to like fall on others for support, and you as well being a support system is a very important key. So for me, resilience and being a team player, and just we also helped with all the other courses that I didn't think made sense back then, but it makes sense now because it comes in very handy for me as an entrepreneur, being able to just manage and navigate everything. Yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing that story, though.
Yeah.
It was very moving, and it really speaks to the fact that even though you have school and work, you have life. And when she said that time does not stop, it really does not stop. So thank you very much for sharing that. Mr. Hypens.
I think, so this is the best way I could phrase it. And guys, short all of this, this is how I communicate. If you see me anywhere else, this is just who I am. One of the things that UE allowed or it pounded into me is to learn to love the unsexy. Great. Here's what I mean. There are some tasks that are very attractive. It puts you out in front, you're there on the camera, you're going to get caught up in the social media feed, you'll get the tags. But, and I speak this having gone to 2 campuses of the university, there are persons that are needed in the unsexy activities, the picking up rubbish when everything is over, the collecting records. And that is very important, because in the workplace, not everything is attractive. The one example I could give, and I just love Dr. Charles for this. A couple of years ago, I hope the program is still going on, but during the summer vacation, they usually have like a sort of kindergarten type thing for workers here, for their kids. And I was lost. I did not know what to do. And we were putting together the budget because the students have to do everything. And Ms. Charles was like, guys, we work with what we have and we do it. And for a long period of time, I was the guy that was picking up paper. For a week straight, I was the guy that was picking up paper. But the ability to learn to love the sexy will allow you to be valuable in your workplace when people are fighting over the attractive roles. Guess what you get to do? So that is what I would say is one of my most valuable skills that I learned.
Thank you for that. And I think that also teaches us a lesson about humility. You have to be able to do everything even if you don't like it. I remember when I would have done my very, very first job after coming out of CXC and Cape, when everybody tells you that if you get all ones, you're going to get the best job of your life. And boy, oh boy, was the reality completely different. And I remember at my very first job, I was an OJT at a corporation. And I remember my first day, I had to make photocopies. And I was like, oh gosh, I had 8 ones, and you tell me I'm making photocopies. That's how I was thinking in my head. But guess what? I went to the photocopying machine and did not know how to use it. It was complicated. I didn't know how to use it. All of a sudden, I'm asking people how to put the paper in, how to change the ink, how to select double-sided. And then you realize that maybe you're not as intelligent as you thought that you were, but it really goes to show that you need an array of skills to be able to survive in the workplace. It's really not just the grades and the technical knowledge, but it's sometimes about the unsexy things that you have to do. And I really like that perspective.
Yeah.
I really like that perspective. So moving on to the next topic is about networking and how important that is, especially networking within world of work and how that translates into the working world. So if you all can share your experiences with networking, how important it is, but perhaps if you have any, stories to share about world of work and the networking within that setting. So who would like to go first this time?
I can take this one because I started my intro by saying I'm a big advocate for world of work, right? So for me, networking is not really, I am the type of person that you'll call an introverted extrovert, okay? So if you see me interacting with people, you would think that I am extroverted, but in reality, I do not like to interact with people. I'm sorry, but it's not something that makes me happy and makes me excited. It actually drains my energy. But networking is one of the key things in life outside of the world of work, in the world of work as well, but in general, you need to be able to network, you need to be able to sell yourself, and building connections with people is how you move forward in life, right? So you might meet somebody today, and 5 years down the line, that same person is the person that you need to help you go through a task specific to world of work. So I did mechanical engineering, as was said, and I did the World of Work program, came to all the sessions, fixed my resume, and I actually was not going to come. I will use the mock interviews as an example. I wasn't going to come to the mock interviews because I had an assignment due, and as she was saying, assignments due down to the wire, you're pushing it because you want to get your degree. So I wasn't going to come to World of Work, and Miss Lewis called me. And she literally was like, Shalika, get up and get dressed and come. You have an interview at, let's say it was 9 a.m. You have an interview at 9 a.m. Make sure you're here on time. Came to the interview, got there, sat, got my group of friends to go with me. We all just sat there waiting. Went and do my first interview. I honestly cannot remember, sorry to the company that interviewed me first. I can't remember who was the company I had my initial mock interview with, right? And these things usually go where you have one mock interview, you get in, you get out, and you go along your way. That's usually how it goes, unless you're fortunate enough to get a second round of interviews to perfect your skills. So I went to the first interview, talking normal. It was not an engineering-related company, which is why I cannot remember the name of the company. But obviously, interviews are interviews. You go, you practice your skills, you learn to sell yourself. So I was in the interview talking about my final year project, which had nothing to do with their company. And then after it, I was like, okay, all right, this is done. I could go back home, finish my assignment. As I'm walking out, one of the student facilitators came, and they were like, Shalika, don't leave. There's a company that wants to speak to you. So I was like, but I just did my interview, and I have my assignment to do. I don't know about y'all, but I need to get this assignment done. And she's like, no, the company requested you, did not know who the company was or whatever. They just asked me to stay. Again, Miss Lewis was like, Shalika, stay. I had to stay. Can't say no. So I stayed. And probably about an hour after, they came and they were like, okay, the panel is free. The table of interviews are ready. They could take you now. Went to the interview, and it was Shell, which is where I currently work. Yeah. Went to the interview, and Shell was the table that was seated right next to the company that I was actually initially being interviewed by. And the persons at the Shell table heard my interview with the other company, and they were like, oh, we want to speak to her, right? Now, all this long story, I know, sorry. But the long story, to come back to the moral of the fact is, if I didn't show up in the first place to network myself, and also if I didn't take the interview seriously with the other company, all it was unrelated to my field, that opportunity would not have been there and present itself for me, right? So it's always about, you know, being able to sell yourself. You never know who is listening. You never know who will be a good connection for you in the future, and you never know when these seeds that you plant could actually grow and blossom, and you can reap the benefits of what it is you planted. Yeah.
Who would like to go next?
Yes, I'll follow up. Yeah. So as Shalika would have said, sometimes you just have to show up, say yes to opportunities, but also understand that not every opportunity that may seem, let's just say every opportunity that might have your name on it, means that it is for you. So you have to think futuristically, try sometimes not to necessarily think short term but long term, and know what it is you want for yourself. And anything that does not look like what you want for yourself, then it's okay to say no to that, which I think we will come to later on. But networking doesn't just start with settings like this in the world of work or mock interviews or so, but it starts when you walk through the door, how you present yourself. Now, in rooms like this, you never know who is who. You never know who can be who, because just as you all are students and we are currently the professionals, we were also once students listening to the professionals as well. And some of us are actually managers of the same professionals who we would have listened to way back when, whether 5 years, a decade ago. So it's all about your presence. And when we talk, bringing it back to transferable skills, your presence in terms of your demeanor, your pleasantries, being polite, and not just to the person who looks like they might be someone or might be someone that could get your name in a room, is anybody, from the usher to the man outside to the security officer, because networking starts from there. You never know who could know who, so just slip in your name somewhere or remember this person or make a mention. And I always say, be kind. Yes, we are professionals, but when we're talking about transferable skills, you're talking about personality. And personality and character is not something that you learn in the university. You can build your character, yes, but personality is something that comes from within. So just like Shalika said, you know, she might be an introvert, but at the same time, being an introvert doesn't mean you have to be unwelcoming, you know? You can be quietly kind or quietly friendly. And it's really about that. Like a simple thing as going to the washroom. I don't even know if the young lady's here, but I went to the washroom earlier, and this comes naturally, but I just thought I should mention it. I saw her and I thought her makeup looked nice, and I was like, hey, your makeup look real nice. And she looked at me like, okay, thank you. And a simple thing like that, somebody could just remember you by that. It could just be a complete stranger, but it's all about being kind, being personable, and always remember your presence counts. And while we understand not every day the sun might shine upon you, not every day the warm lights might shine upon you, however, it's about just learning to shake things off sometimes and just present yourself. Like I always admire Dr. Charles, like from ever since. Dr. Charles is gold. And why? Because I always admired the way that she presents herself. You would never know what Dr. Charles is going through, and she's been through a lot. But the way how this woman presents herself is like a sense of light just like emulates from her, and even like her style. Like I remember my mother always used to tell me, dress how you want to be addressed. And that's something that has always stuck with me because that can make a difference. A simple thing like wearing a smile can make a difference. We understand customer service in Trinidad is not the best. I dislike it. Pet peeve of mine, right? Fronter, service, all of that. But in a lot of the jobs that we do, it's service-based when you think about it. Regardless of whatever the job is, it's service-based somehow or the other. we are providers. All of us are service providers at some point. And it's very important to treat everybody like they're a client or a customer or a prospective customer. You always be kind. Communication skills is also very important, but bringing it back to the networking. Networking doesn't start in rooms like this, but it starts as soon as you wake up and you walk out your door, as soon as you greet your relative or your roommate or whoever it might be. And one thing I want to share with you all is getting involved in associations. So I know there are some some fields where you can actually be like a student associate. So you don't necessarily have to wait until you graduate. So for example, in dietetics, we have TANDI, Trinidad and Tobago Association for Nutritionists and Dietitians, where you can actually register or sign up as a student associate. And by doing that, you get the opportunity to volunteer, do health fairs, whether it's corporate health fairs or so. You get an opportunity to actually network with other dietitians. And I actually got like one of my jobs from actually signing up with the association as a student and volunteering. And from there, my transferable skills were seen, because at the time, I wasn't qualified, still a student, but my transferable skills were seen. And when I say seen, it was seen to the point where it was memorable. It wasn't forgotten. Like Miss Lou literally contacted me because Miss Lou remembered me as a student, as a career facilitator, and the impact that I may not have necessarily made on anybody else, but the impact that I would have made on her. Right? So networking, like I say, starts as soon as you present yourself anywhere, but being part of associations actually helps, because that way you learn more about the profession, you find out if it's something that you're even interested in, and then other professionals in the association can remember you and say, I remember John, or I remember Jill, a student, real nice personality, they know what they was doing, they know what they were saying, let's consider them for this opening. So always remember, networking starts from as soon as you present yourself anywhere. Yeah?
If I may add on to that, I'm going to give you two stories that support what you've been saying. When I was in undergrad, I was also a student career facilitator, and there was this conference on campus. And I was just supposed to be handing out flyers, not related to the conference at all. And this guy stops me, and he's so confused, he doesn't know where University Inn is. So I was like, okay, let me just help him out. I walk him from the car park by Linda's there to straight back to University Inn. And he's like, you know what, if you're looking for a summer internship, give me a call. So the guy was apparently working Ministry of Finance. He gives me his number and everything. Unfortunately, me being a klutz, loses the number. But the moral of that story was, I didn't even know who the guy was. He was just dressed like a normal person, nothing, no suit, nothing fancy at all. And he just wanted a little bit of help. I just helped him out. I wasn't thinking about it any in detail. I was like, okay, this dude doesn't know where he's going. And if you all are in the audience, you all should take away that anybody could be a link. Anybody could be someone you want to know. The second story is in regard to how I got my first job. It was COVID, to set the background. It was COVID, people weren't hiring. Everybody who is in the environmental field wants to work at the EMA, but the EMA doesn't hire, and especially not during COVID. So I was stumped, and there was this networking event hosted by Shannon Coffee Young. So I went to the event. I didn't really have much high hopes, because I was like, okay, it's going to be filled with people in my degree. Everybody's going to be looking for a job. There's going to be tough competition. So during the event, we all sat, we talked, we chat, and then after it, I was like, okay, let me just research for the biscuit and send her an email asking for a job. And it worked out. I got my first job during COVID. While everyone else in my degree was looking for a job, I got a job working virtually and remote.
Is there anything you would like to add about networking?
Oh, Bianca leg again. So just in my mind, your life is going to be decided in rooms you are not in. Please understand that. Your opportunities are going to be decided in rooms that you are not in. So when I think of networking, I think of three categories of people. One, colleagues, persons who are on my level, but they are going to grow with me. I need to be good with them, because as we advance together, we open doors to each other. The second category of people are your mentors/allies. Your mentors are persons who are a bit more senior than you. they're going to guide you in your profession and open up certain doors. Your ally is that person who's going to say, in a room, I don't like Joshua, he's short. That person can say, hey, short people could work too. That's the ally. Know that person and let that person be able to speak for you. The next category is gatekeepers. These are people that are very high above your level. You may not have the ability to even speak to them, but you need to understand how to get to them because they hold the key. So for example, in law, when you practice, there's something called SILC, or senior counsel. Senior counsels get the best work. It's an access thing. The way for you to get good work is for you to get close to a senior counsel. So you network with the gatekeeper. If there is an example that I can give, one of the attorneys that I work with, she was walking with a big box. I just picked up the box and helped her. I was like, you know, I'm from South, man, let's help people. Let's do this. So I helped her with the box. Then the next week, one of the attorneys I was working with, they were like, hey, let me introduce you to Joshua. You may not know him, but we have some work and he can do it. When I met her, she was like, oh, box guy. Well, okay, now we can work. So that would just be my short thing.
All right.
Box guy, calling it box guy.
Now, if I may say so myself, I think y'all got some real gems with the networking section. I actually don't have anything to add. I myself am listening, you know, to the gems that y'all are dropping. I'm like, maybe I can, you know, take a page out of their book. So I'm going to move to another topic talking about challenges, right? Now, the transition from high school to university, and then there's the transition from university to the working world. Now, I definitely know what my challenges were, but I would like to hear from you all. If you can just very quickly is the word, because we have lots of questions, so we want to hear from the audience as well. One major specific challenge that you faced during your transition from university to the world of work.
If I could lead this time.
Go ahead, right ahead.
It is being able to know my value. I never sent an invoice in my life, and when you're in the working world, you have to, people have to pay you, so you have to send invoices. So that was my big challenge. I never knew how to do it.
All right, anyone else?
I'll go. So usually when you leave university into the world of work, you know there's a culture shift. You go from being informal and then, you know, to extremely formal. However, in consulting, there's a little bit of a change because, especially in my field of consulting, you can either work with the layman doing either certificates of environmental clearance, which is just the everyday person. You could work with middle management with companies where they want you to do policies and procedures for them, and then you can also work with the government, like with the National Climate Change Policy. I've worked across all three areas, and it's always a challenge adapting to the client and the audience you're dealing with. Because just like I could talk informally with Joe and Jill for CC, I can, and then 10 minutes after, go see a client who was working in a corporate office. You have to adapt, and that was a challenge because you went from informal in a university setting to then very high risk, because if you don't adapt as quick as possible, you may lose a client. And the way I overcome this was like talking to other people in the firm, figuring out how was I going to deal with this specific client, doing background research, finding little ends, little jokes, ways to break the ice.
Yeah, I think for me on a technical side, my biggest challenge was learning the difference between theory and practicality, like the practical stuff. So doing engineering, it's very theory-based for the most part in the university, right? In the UWI, you come, you do your courses, write your exams, you do your labs, you do your final year project, you graduate, you go into the world of work, hopefully you get a job in the field. That was the biggest challenge for me because a lot of times you could calculate something and you thinking, yes, I calculate this, 1 and 1 is 2. So I'm gonna tell this person that they have to do 1 and 1 and it will give me 2. And in reality, I work with equipment, machinery, and there are technicians who work on this equipment every day of their life, some of them for longer than I was even alive for. And I went and I would be, okay, 1 and 1 is 2, do it. And they used to be like, Shalika, no, one-on-one, we're going to give you 5, and then we're going to have to spend 2 million to correct it. And when I first started, I couldn't see it, and it was really the learner mindset back to that, where you have the, that willingness to adapt, that willingness to understand their point of view as well, to see that, okay, yes, the paper says one-on-one is 2, but when you take into factors all the other equipment that it's interacting with, the length of time that is there, our experience, the past history it had, or whatever, one-on-one is really not 2. So all the theory says that the reality of it has a lot of different factors. So you have to be able to just, put the theory aside. It would help for some things, but you have to take the reality into consideration. Yeah.
I can echo what Shalika said, same thing, being able to transition from the theoretical part to practical, because I deal with human beings on a daily basis. So learning about NG2 feeds and whatnot, and about malnourished children and what micronutrients they need on theory, and actually bringing it into the practical part when you're actually dealing with an actual malnourished baby or somebody with chronic disease or so. That was the difficult part, and I mean, internship did help with that. But with that being said, this is where being teachable helps, because as much as I came with the theoretical part, I needed my mentors or persons who already experienced with the experience and in the field to really give me that feedback and guide me along the way. And I'm still being mentored along the way because it's still a learning experience. So yeah, that was the challenge.
I think for me, 2 of my major challenges, the first one is how much I don't know when I started to work. And I thought that I knew a lot. And in my undergrad, I was doing a lot of work with different societies, and I somewhat developed some sort of, I would say, popularity among my year group and colleagues, right? And everybody around you just making you feel real nice. And then you graduate and you get into the working world and you're feeling nice, right? And then you get your first assignment and you don't know what to do. And it's not that I don't have the educational background. It's not that by nature I can't learn, but it's just that school is only going to teach you that much, and every organization has their own culture and their way of doing things. In class, you learn to calculate something one way, and in the working world, you learn to calculate it another way. It doesn't mean that you're not intelligent, but you need to learn, and that was a major challenge for me, because when I started, I genuinely felt like, wait, boy, I don't know nothing, so I'm going to feel like they make a mistake by hiring me. But then when you talk to your colleagues, and they'll be like, listen, you're doing much better than I did, because when I started, I didn't do anything. So I was like, you know what, those kind of conversations, it makes you feel better, but it really just, you have to be very, very teachable. And my second challenge is that work does not stop. School still does. You still have a vacation. When I was in my undergrad, I did not have class every single day. In fact, we had that luxury of choosing your classes. So what? I used to keep Fridays clean. Fridays urban grounds, Fridays to Lime after, right? Now Fridays 4:30 in work. And I think that was another challenge for me, being able to we don't have a July-August vacation, the semester doesn't end, there's no semester in work, it just goes on Monday to Friday from the 1st of January to the 31st of December, all day until you decide, okay, this is not what I want to do anymore. But that was a big challenge for me. All right, so I want to move in to talking about myths, right? A misconception that we have about the working world. Things that you believed that this is how it is. It could be anything. What are some of those myths that you believed, and then you were soon, you enter the working world and you realize, oh, this is not what I expected it to be, or this is not what I believed the working world would be. Now, Joshua, I see you're watching all over the place like you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so go ahead, go right ahead.
No problem. So being a university student gives you a interesting loop of behavior. You get an assignment, you all know that, right? What happens after you get the assignment? You do the assignment, after you submit the assignment, what do you get? Right, you get a review. That doesn't happen. No one is going to tell you, and I want to be very clear with this, you are not entitled to be told when you are wrong or how wrong you are.
Or when you're doing well.
Equally when you're doing well. And that was a myth for me, because what can sometimes happen is that you can do bad work and somebody will say, I just won't give you another opportunity again. And that is not them being unfair, that's just how they operate. So one of the things for me, one of the myths I have to get out of my head is that there will be a point in time when somebody will come and say, hey Josh, this is where you can improve. No. Just get it done. That's it for me.
I'll take it because I'll build off something you said earlier about how much you didn't know. So you think an environmental consultant would just do environmental things? That was the myth I was working with when I walked in the door, and then I was like, oh, no, sorry. You have to learn some things in finance. You need to learn some things in strategy. You need to learn some things in law. I was like, okay, guess we're doing this today. So every new client is something new you learn. So if you're going into an environmental field and you think that, you know, you're going to be only doing environment, let me put it set you straight, you're sorely mistaken.
Yeah, I think for me is along those same lines. You know, when you're born, your life is going. I'm being so serious. No, but your life is really go a certain way for like 18 to 20 years, right? So you're born, your parents take care of you, you go to pre-K, you go to kindergarten, you go to primary school, you graduate primary school, you go to secondary school. Either you do A-levels, you don't do A-levels, something, you choose to do tertiary education, you go to university, you graduate. When you're in university, well, when I was in university, how I thought it was going to go was, I go to university, I graduate, I get my job. When I get my job, I want to work X amount of years, and then I'm going to strive to go in this next job. I'm going to work X amount of years there. I'm going to make X amount of money by 30, and then when I make that X amount of money, then I'm going to buy this and buy that, and then I'm going to look to start my family. Does the plan, right? Everybody's have their plan in their mind, what they want to do. I think the myth for me with working, that was a very shocking reality, is that it's not that easy. So whereas your first 18 years of your life is really predetermined, how you want your working world to go is really up to you. So every opportunity that you get is what you make for yourself. So you can't just say, okay, I want to work 5 years in engineering, 5 years, whatever the case may be, and then expect that after 5 years, somebody going to come and say, all right, your 5 years finished, time to move to the next one. Here you go and start to do it. Like it's really, you have to put things in place for yourself and create the opportunities for yourself. And even if you're in that 5-year period and you're focusing on one thing, you have to be thinking about how can things that I do now impact what I want to do in the future, so that when I get to the end of the 5 years, you're not scrambling to say, okay, wait, I really should have do this before, or I need this skill to be able to move into this area. It's really about, you know, I know I want to do this, I will do these things now to contribute to it. And as they were saying, life does not stop, time does not stop, work does not stop. So it's really back to, you know, understanding what you want to do and making the time to make sure that you make yourself successful, because nobody else is going to make you successful. Everybody is help you up until you get your paper and they say, congrats, well done, congratulations, you graduated, you did it. And then it's really up to you to make your life worth it after that. Yeah.
For me, I thought my one job will finance my lifestyle. That's just it. Like my one job, just an 8 to 4. But it's not just that. It's about the hustle, really about the hustle. I'm sure there are people who have just one job and they're making it work for them. But for me, that was like the biggest shock. Thinking that my one little dietetics job, my little 8 to 4 in the hospital or the health center, is going to be able to afford me a mortgage, buy me a new showroom vehicle, travel like I want, take care of my family, live my best life. But it was the biggest shocker when I saw the salaries, because that wasn't something that I was exposed to before. You will see like a generalized and you think, yeah, and most times it was like the UK salaries or the US salaries, very little on what we really make here in Trinidad. And as Joshua mentioned gatekeepers earlier, in some fields there are lots of gatekeepers. So a simple thing like trying to network with another dietitian and try to find out, well, what the salary range is like, it was always like a hush-hush or a secret. So for me, the biggest shocker was thinking that my one job, just an 8 to 4, could just finance me. But it's not, it's really about the hustle. Hence the reason why I do so many different things.
So as you mentioned, doing so many different things, that's the next question that I want to get to, entrepreneurship and how important that is. Now, I guess in an ideal world, there is no one way really to have a career. There's no one way of doing anything, right? So if you can start us off with the importance of entrepreneurship and perhaps what are some of the competencies that you think are important for being an entrepreneur and also having a day job and how easy or difficult that is.
So firstly, you have to have passion, like some kind of passion, because passion drives purpose. So whatever you decide that you want your side hustle, soon to be main hustle to be, whether it's one, two, or multiples, you have to be passionate about it, because that's the only way it will not necessarily feel like work. I mean, work is always work, and when you're an entrepreneur, that's your baby, that's your passion project, so you have to put in the work. But when it's something that you're really passionate about, it wouldn't really feel like work, it would just feel like, okay, it's purpose then. So you feel motivated. Time management skills is really important, because especially if you are a one-man show for a little bit, nobody else is going to get it done for you. So you have to get it done. And if you have an 8 to 4, a 9 to 5, or like a steady flow of income, or like an actual job, a physical job, you have to be able to find that time outside of that to commit to your passion projects. Being able to network, as we said earlier, because networking and collaborations is what will get your name in rooms and also give you opportunities as well. I've gotten a lot of opportunities from collaborations, and always being humble, because we know better than anybody in this room, you understand? So being humble and knowing that, okay, you could always team up with somebody, or if you can't do something on your own, rely on assistance for it, rely on your colleagues, you know. Creativity. Having vision, but then also being creative as well helps. And again, time management, I cannot stress that enough. And being able to find work-life balance, that's sometimes one of the most difficult things, especially with this hustle mentality that we unfortunately have to have now, because 20, 30, 40 years ago, where you could have purchased property for $3,000, now it's 1.5 million up, you know. So being able to find that work-life balance and just knowing when to say no, knowing when to rest, because rest is also productive. People, rest is also productive. At the university, you are literally on a hamster wheel, you're going non-stop. Life is going to still be like that, but at some point you have to learn when to just hit pause and just take time for reflection, and not just focus on the professional aspect, but also personal aspect, because the only way that you can really be at your best and thrive professionally is by being your best personal self.
All right, thank you. Does anyone else have anything to add on the entrepreneurship side of things?
I could throw in a 2 cents. It's not listed in my bio, but I am also a partner in a law firm. Oh. So I don't handle the law part. Don't ever come to me for legal advice. You're going to get bad advice. But I handle the financial and the strategic planning of the business on that end. And one of the things I realized before I came on to that role, a lot of people, they will have their businesses going, because also in consulting I see this as well, but they don't take the time and sit down and plan where the purpose of the business is going, because that affects how we're going to select your clients, where is your cap for what clients you're going to take in terms of pay. So example, this is going to sound bad. If you get a client and you know your client seems troublesome and you're looking at the cost for the project, you have to know, okay, do I want to help this person? In my soul, yes, I want to help this person, but will this benefit my business in the long run? Because again, your job is also to keep the doors open. You have people that depend on that money you make from that salary.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else has anything to add with the entrepreneurship?
I'll try to do this under 1 minute. 2 things. Whatever you love it. Please know how it makes money. I beg you. Please know how it makes money. Not everyone knows what the thing that they love makes money. And I'll give you a quick example. If you're a private lawyer, you don't get paid monthly. You get paid when your clients decide to pay you. And your clients will never decide to pay you when you want them to pay you. So please know how you make money. The second thing, know who you need to get the money from. Not everyone needs to be your customer. And that's not a bad thing.
I like that. 60 seconds. I like that. Anything from you?
So my initial, when I heard the question, I was gonna just stay quiet and because I am one of the persons in life, you need the entrepreneurs, and then you need the people to work for the entrepreneurs. And I honestly, I admire entrepreneurs. I think that is a skill that I do not possess. The level of discipline it takes to run a business is unparalleled. And I think, as I said before, you have to know your strengths and you have to know your weaknesses. My strength is not being an entrepreneur. I will, however, work the 9 to 4 to help the entrepreneur pursue their passion project and I don't think anything is wrong with that.
Right.
I feel like now, everywhere you go, everybody's like, oh, be an entrepreneur, but sometimes you just need to be able to work as well, and nothing is wrong with that. Like, if it is you don't see yourself owning a business, I mean, obviously, kudos to you if you can do it. If it is, that's what you aspire to do, kudos to you, but nothing is wrong as well as being the person who is okay with working the 9 to 5. Nobody's saying, okay, you're going to get a 9 to 5 and your first job and you're just going to stick in that one position and be comfortable. There are ways to grow in your professional career as well, moving through a 9 to 5 job, but nothing is wrong with, well, I would say that because that's how I am. But I believe that nothing is wrong with being a person who just wants to have that 9 to 5 and go through life progressing in that kind of hierarchy.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Let's give a round of applause for that one. Because if it's one thing, the world that we're living in today, with all that we consume on social media, sometimes it can be very overwhelming with social media telling you the 15 different things you need to do to be successful. And she's right, not everybody can be an entrepreneur. And then there's a difference between an entrepreneur and a business owner, if we be very frank,
sure.
right? So it's not for everyone. And what I would like to say to you all is don't feel pressured to have 5 different streams of income. If you really can't make no boy, you have to know yourself. I mean, people have been telling me that, I get into some sort of entrepreneurial activity. Right now, I work full-time and I'm also a student. I'm a master's student, right? And that is very, very heavy. When I get home first of all, I'll spend 2 hours in traffic, right? So when I reach home 6:30, I have to go into class sometimes till 9 o'clock in the night. Then after that, you're meeting with your group for your assignments, sometimes 10, 11 o'clock. Then you have your assignments to do. At this point in time, I can't handle business. It just won't work. I don't have the time.
Girl,
so you have to know yourself and you have to know what you have on your plate. But if you do have that entrepreneurial spirit, there's something you're passionate about, it can make money, how it can make money, then you're obviously going to have to make the time for it. But you have to know, essentially, you have to know yourself. So I'm seeing the timer, they're signaling me the time. So I'm going to try to get in maybe 1 or 2 more questions here, right? So the ability to be teachable and open-minded to learning new skills or taking on tasks outside of perhaps your skill set is actually, one of those qualities that is seen to be essential for success. How do you believe that cultivating a teachable mindset has impacted your career, and what advice would you give to, our students on the importance of being adaptable and teachable in the working world?
Well, I'll take that one. As I mentioned before, you deal with different clients, and different clients have different needs, and those needs are sometimes things that you would have never experienced in your life. University could only teach you that much in theory, and as my colleague here would have said, sometimes the theory is not enough. 1 + 1 may equal 2 on a book, but 1 + 1 may cost them millions. And you need to be flexible and also willing to learn, because not everything is as it seems. Sometimes you will go into a job and the job seems simple at the beginning, and then when you start talking to people and looking at what they want something totally brand new. You have to sit down and come up with a new concept, and that will require you to put in the work. You'll have to go talk to your colleagues, hit the books, use the internet, figure things out on your own to get the job done. And even outside of consulting, that's true for most jobs that are 9 to 5, because let's face it, someday a work emergency might happen and you need to come up with a solution on the fly.
Yeah, I would say it is definitely like one of the best skills to have. You can always learn. You can never stop learning. There's always something you can learn from anybody that you interact with. you can also help teach persons, but you have to have that willingness to learn. In terms of how it has helped me personally, like I am very okay with admitting when I do not know something. And when I first started working, persons around me who were not, I would say, in that same mindset, always trying to be right, never want to make a mistake, like they would look at me like, this girl crazy or what? How she could come in here and say she don't know? Like I distinctly remember I went to look at them overhaul a valve, and the guy that took me, he was like, all right, so tell me all the parts of a valve and tell me how the actuator works. And this was like my second day. I've never seen a valve through my entire life of my UWI career studying mechanical engineering. I never saw the internals of a valve. And when he asked me, I simply was like, oh, well, I'm so sorry, I do not know. And he was so appalled that I could just say that I don't know. And he's like, what do you mean you don't know? I was like, well, this is my first time seeing a valve that's so big. Like the last valve I probably see was to turn on the side of the toilet tank to take off the water. So I actually do not know. And any moment, he could have probably like laugh at me or just be like, to hell with this girl, sorry. But people actually appreciate what it is you say you don't know something rather than you pretend you know. So any moment, he literally took like probably 2 hours just explaining to me all the internals of a valve and how that came back to help me at the end of my internship with Shell. I had an interview to do, and funnily enough, they asked me to draw a valve and an actuator. And I literally was like, oh, well, would. And I just went out because, that one moment actually prepared me to be able to answer the question. And if it is, I probably just tried to BS around it and say, okay, well, the valve does probably give access to this and the flow, and try to make up what I know from theory. It would have robbed myself from the opportunity to get that in-depth knowledge that helped me in the future. So my thing that I always say to new persons that I meet in work as well, like, don't be afraid to make a mistake, and don't be afraid to say that you don't know something, especially when you're now starting your career. That is the time to make all the mistakes. Like, you could do everything wrong, and everybody will just be like, she now started. So, and they will help you the most, right? Because they'll know that it's a mistake, they'll show you how to correct it, and then, well, the idea is that you don't make that mistake again moving forward, and you can help the next person that is coming to not make that mistake as well. So my thing is to always just be open. You never know what you could learn. Don't be afraid to not know something. Nobody knows everything. In my day-to-day work, sometimes I still go to the University of YouTube just to understand something. Like, it does not end. It's okay to not know something. Like, it's not the end of the world if you don't know something.
I agree. Learning is a never-ending cycle. You learn something new every day, literally. And for me, I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to be the most teachable person in the room. Because by being the most teachable person, you end up sometimes learning more at the end, right? So always just being open to new information, and not just specifically in your field of work, but outside of that. Because COVID showed us, like, how everybody had to be so adaptable. So many persons got laid off of their job, which were like their dream careers, and then had to pick up things that they never even thought they would have had to pick up, We have persons who probably was like in the medical field, now in the marketing field, because marketing like blew up. Social media is a big thing now. So just learning outside of like your actual skill sets for your actual job or career can really help, because you never know which path or which direction life could take you.
So guys, please indulge me. Everyone could read and write. Can you put your hand? Simple question. Everyone could read and write. Now look at how many hands are. That means that, and this is a reality, competence is going to plateau. When it comes to the workforce, you're going to find a large amount of people who can do what you can do. You are not that special. But my understanding of teachability is in a very small saying that I always keep to the back of my mind. Availability is the best ability. When you are now starting off your career, the most powerful thing you have is availability. You probably don't have a husband, you probably don't have a lot of obligations, you are available. And what you would be doing is using your availability to help those who are senior to you. And if you can make someone's life easier, you stick around. If you can't, you are let go. And I want to connect it to an example. In fields like law, there is no creativity. Guys, we don't care about creativity. We don't care. Law has a method. A plus B plus C. If you do not understand the method and you're not willing to be taught on the method, then you're useless to us. But part of that is your availability. So, in terms of teachability, just let it be known. Your availability is your best ability as a junior person.
All right, that was nice. I would just like to say, in terms of that availability comment, when I would have just started my first job, and I remember my supervisor asking, so what is it that you specifically want to do? And I said, I want to learn everything. And then check me back in 3 months and then I'll tell you exactly where I want to be. Now it sounds crazy. Now I don't mean everything as in everything. Of course my supervisor understands but what that shows my supervisor is that this girl is willing to learn maybe the 3 or 4 skills that we have in this department, and that means I know that she's willing to learn. You see, that willing to learn is very, very important. And you know, it worked in my benefit. I was able to get access to projects from things that was maybe a little bit outside of my skill set, but I still learned something from it. So just remember to sometimes take your ego out of it. Yes, I'm from an economics statistics background, but now I'm in the financial sector, and I have to say I'm loving every single second of it. I do my economics 70% of the time, and then 30% of the time I get to dabble in other things, and it literally benefits me. It makes me more marketable. It helps me in my projects, and it you know, anytime they need somebody to straddle 2 things, guess what? You might be that person that they will call because they know you're not just only doing your thing alone. Sometimes when you get too specialized in one thing, it could actually backfire. You never really know. So it's nice to have a little 1 or 2, 3 things that you're really good at, and I think that will really, really help you. So I'm actually out of questions, and I want to hear from our students. And I think now is the time for us to interact, right? So we're going to take some questions from you, the audience. And when you're asking a question, if it is you can tell us what you're currently pursuing, that will give us a bit of an idea of what faculty you're from and perhaps some of your interests. So let's go. So let me see the hands. Who's going first? All right, we have one at the corner here. Can you just raise your hand so that the usher can see you? And feel free, panel, you all can chip in, but we just want to keep this section, you know, a little short so that we can have as much questions as possible.
Hi, good day. My name is Tadian Kwamana. I'm from the Faculty of Social Sciences. Right. So I really
faculty.
Okay.
Just like you all know.
No bias at all. Okay. So I really like the networking section because I go to a lot of networking events. But what I find difficulty in doing is keeping up with those connections. So like 5, 6, 7 years will pass and like you don't keep connected with them. So I have 2 questions. One is, how do you keep up with those connections so that you're not just randomly messaging them when you like have something that you can get their assistance with, as well as when you are networking, would you recommend that we speak about where we want to be rather than where we currently are, so we can let people know where we want to grow in our career? So yeah.
Ooh, that's a great question. I would like to answer first if I can. I know I'm not, you know, one of the 4 important people, but in terms of keeping up with those networks, for me, I think when I network, it's genuine. I'm not talking to you just because you're important. That's not how I operate, because for me, that's not genuine. And I think when you make genuine connections with people, for me, it's easier to keep up with them, right? So for example, one of my lecturers who then brought me on as an intern right here in UWI, I keep up with her all the time. I just check in, how are you? What's going on? You know, I tell her when I get a new job, I tell her, it's like, you know, I got an A in this course. And that's building genuine connections, just keeping in touch. Not everything in networking is about what I can get from that person or what they can get from me. So I think building genuine relationships when you're networking is one way that helps me with keeping up with people. Not everything I think has to have some sort of like ulterior motive, or just because I want something from somebody, you know, you keep in touch with them. That may be unpopular. A lot of people are very strategic about how they make networks, but I'm just a genuine person, and I really can't keep up with you if we're not like that, right? And what was your second part of the question?
If you should tell them where you want to be or where you are currently when you are networking.
I'll answer that part.
Yeah, you can go. Yeah, go ahead.
So you want to do both, right? Because it's all about getting opportunity. So if you know where you are right now, you want opportunities, and where you are right now, you market yourself. But if you know where you are right now is not where you plan to be in the future, then you tell them what your future plans are. So that way, if anything comes up, that buzz will be there as well. And networking sometimes can be very tiring, especially keeping up with the networking, especially if you are an introvert. However, the world we live in now, there's social media. So LinkedIn, social media handles, you'll share each other's, platforms and whatnot. And that's one way to keep up with each other, especially like if you have a business related platform, that'll be excellent, because each of you all could actually see in terms of the updates and where, a lot of times people have like mixers. There are lots of opportunities to actually mingle, also keeping up to date with the person's birthday. Sometimes like when you put somebody's contact in, Google actually tells you like when their birthday is coming up. So a simple thing as shooting a message, it doesn't even have to be a call to say, hey, happy birthday. That could go a long way, because that adds the personal touch as well. Or even if it is, you have an event coming up and you feel like that person, not just you, could actually benefit from being there, you invite them. And that is one way to, keep the connections as well.
I would just add quickly that for some persons, like myself, I could speak to somebody if you're in my face and I'm seeing you. It's very easy for me to speak to you. But the beauty of networking is indeed the following up, right? So that if something happens and you need that person, it doesn't seem as though you're just reaching out to them for that. And for me, I have to be very intentional. Although my connection with you is genuine, I am a very out of sight, out of mind person. Like, if I don't put it in my calendar, I'm not, and then 5 years down the line, I'll be like, oh, shucks. I should have asked Dr. Charles how she was going, because now look, this opportunity and Dr. Charles' name there, right? So I am very intentional with my networking. I actually, if I meet somebody that I know I want to have them in my network, I would put it in my calendar, and I would put it as a meeting for myself every 3 months, a recurring meeting, check up on Dr. Charles, check up on XYZ. So that is not a forced connection per se, but it is like something that is continuous, so that when the time comes that you can reach out to that person and they remember who you are. But for me, I have to do it intentionally, otherwise it will not happen. I will get caught up in my day-to-day, I will forget about it, and then 5 years down the line, I will see the note where I said I wanted to connect with Dr. Charles, and then at that point, there's no point in it anymore. So I would say, like for me, what works in terms of networking is being intentional about it and actually setting aside the time to make sure that I network with the people that I want to remember my name.
Great, y'all are real strategic, boy. I'm actually taking in a lot of this. Nice. Yeah. All right, any more questions? So we have 2 on this. Okay, so let's go on this side. So keep your hand up so that the usher can see you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's very nice to hear some people that actually, working and so on.
I'm so sorry.
Yes, I'm Daryl from FST. So we know that, we work for money and so on, and sometimes we love our careers. We know we also human though. So a concern of mine, and I'm really interested in hearing this from you guys, since you are working. I hear a lot of stories about people struggling with dealing with people, especially if they're like in higher positions, or some of the incidents happen with women in the workplace. How do you navigate all these negatives? Yeah, that's the question.
Who would like to take that one?
By the time you set up and I was ready to take it.
I'm gaining this weird reputation where I'm a specialist with working with difficult lawyers. Two things I would say, or at least where I would start off from. One, and this is preface on you being a starting professional. One, keep yourself focused on the task. The reason I'm saying keep yourself focused on the task is that the working world sometimes is like a fish. There's meat and there's bone. And you have to understand how you're getting all the meat and you're throwing away the bone. And you have to make sure that the bone doesn't become a part of you while you're interacting with those two things. The second thing is know your limits. Don't lie to yourself. If you lie to yourself about your limits, that's where a lot of the cognitive dissonance is going to go. If you know you hate when somebody criticizes Pikachu, and they criticize Pikachu in front of you, know that's your limit. If you know you can take more, then set that as your limit. But once you've reached your limit, remember your limit is for you and not for them. If you've reached your limit, acknowledge it and be willing to step away. Best believe life works out in a weird way where you can get something better. So I'm not going to advocate that you give up easily when you have difficult people, but I'm a strong advocate of knowing your limit and knowing when you reach it.
Yeah, just to kind of echo what he said, dealing with difficult people is a daily part of my job. Dealing with difficult adults is a daily part of my job, and it is not, don't look at it as something negative, look at it as a teaching moment, because it is really just preparing you for other people that you'll have to deal with. So dealing with somebody difficult, it teaches you about yourself, it gives you that practice and patience, it teaches you how to interact with persons, and it's really just about, you know, being able to internalize and, as he said, focus on the task. Because a lot of the times people will want to be right. As humans, we all just want to be right, and sometimes being right is not what is necessary in the moment. So you have to be able to put your pride and your ego aside, even though you may be right in the moment. It may not be what is necessary for it to actually be productive. So it's really about being able to step aside, look at it from that person's point of view, try to understand where it is they're coming from, and then, I don't want to use the word manipulate, but that's really what you have to do, is a mind game. So you understand where they're coming from, you understand their point of view, and then you manipulate the conversation to be able to show them the task and where the goal is, and how you're going to get it, and get them to step aside as well. So it really is a skill that you have to develop. It's not something that is very easily learned, but you do have to take the time, and don't just get frustrated, get overwhelmed, or just like walk away from everything, and don't allow yourself to like reach to the stage of blowing up. Have somebody that you could confide in, because best your bottom dollar, like my mommy knows about all my coworkers that's give me hell, because at the end of the day you want to be professional with them, but sometimes you need to vent and get it out so that you could go back into the professional setting and do what needs to be done, right? Yeah.
I think that's where emotional intelligence comes in.
Yep, for sure.
Like learning how to navigate. Because at the end of the day, people are people and they're going to be people. You can't control someone, you may not be able to control the situation, but you can control yourself and how you handle the situation. And it's really situational, because the world of work will really teach you some things, let me tell you. It's situational, and it also depends on the actual work environment that you are actually in. So some work environments will literally eat you and spit you out. And then some will just feel like a breeze to go to one. Very few people are blessed to actually have that, but you working on yourself and trying not to take everything personal. And like my two colleagues said, focusing on the task at hand, because at the end of the day, everybody come in with that one goal. To make money, yes, but also focus on the task at hand, whatever it may be. But to answer your question more directly in terms of how to actually deal with said individual or the situation, I mean, every organization will be different in terms of dealing with like employee conflict or like resolutions or so. So going through those channels, making sure there's a mediator. And this is where transferable skills comes in again, because it's just knowing how to communicate, what to say, when to say, and how to say it. So sometimes it's not what you say, but it's how you say it. And then when the oral will not work, pen to paper and just put it in writing. And when you put things in writing, there's always a paper trail and a record. So let's say somebody, let's just say some kind of assault on any workplace, somebody cuss you out, right? In your workplace, you might be dealing with client base, it might be product based, but anybody that comes in, you'll have a sign on the door. No obscene language, no disrespect to staff is allowed, but yet still staff disrespecting staff. And in a case like that, if you have one specific person that is always making you feel uncomfortable, because at the end of the day, nobody wants to be in a job where you're feeling uncomfortable. It can affect your mental health and then affect your quality of work. And while venting to everybody else works, at the end of the day, if it's the person dealing with the problem at hand, it's still always going to be a problem. So you put things in writing, or if it allows where you could deal with it on an upper management level, then you do so. And if nothing comes out of it, then you could always request to whether go in another department. This is where more transferable skills comes in, because if you know more outside of your actual task, you could always go in another department or look for another work, plain and simple, because the point of us doing all of this is so that we could be marketable. But it's really about emotional intelligence and just knowing how to communicate, and don't take everything personal. Trust me, don't take everything personal. I had to learn that, I wouldn't say the hard way in one of my jobs, but it was a learning curve for me. Don't take everything personal. Yeah.
All right, next question. So we have one there, and we have one here, we have real questions for you. That's good though, that's good.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jonathan Brewster from the Faculty of Engineering.
Woo!
My question is, I have a small passion project I'm working on, but in terms of agriculture. But my problem is that focusing on the legality of it versus the morality of my situation. It is legally fine, but morally skewed.
Oh, okay.
So what I was looking for is from a consultant's point of view on wanting to keep your doors open, and a lawyer's point of view on the legal side of it.
All right.
I am so happy I don't have to answer this
I'm just going
question.
to put this out. My views do not represent any of the organizations I am with. Put that disclaimer out there. Without a lot more context, you put us in a bad place here, but generally, you try to find a balance between the two. If you really, truly cannot find a balance, it comes down to you as an individual. Where are you able to sleep at night knowing that you kept the doors open, but you did something more sketchy? Or are you going to be able to, if you're not able to sleep at night, then you have to find a way to compromise. And life is not always black and white. There are gray areas. You have to know yourself and basically know what you can live with. What is your limit?
I'm so curious to know what this is, but I guess we'll have to take it offline, as they say. Go ahead, Joshua.
Making that song so big. Sorry, I'm a big fan of reducing what songs big and heavy. You started off by saying you are relatively certain, and I'll give you a disclaimer, this does not count as legal advice, you are not my client. Okay? You started off by saying you're relatively certain it's legal. Then there is no need for a lawyer's opinion. When it comes to the issue of morality, I don't want to say it's up to you, because morality is so skewed in different circles that you go to. Maybe the people in your life do not see it as immoral, maybe other people see it as immoral. Here's what I would say at the end of the day. Are you going to add the greatest benefit to the people you care about or the people you're serving? If you can't answer that, then just don't.
I like that answer. Next question.
There's one.
Yeah, we have one here, and then we have one hand up in there. So let's get this one.
Yes.
Yeah?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ayal Welch-Smith. I'm part of the Faculty of Science and Technology. I have 2 questions. Sorry to anybody else who have questions after. But Mr. Hammett, you talked about how we get assignments and then we get feedback, right? And as somebody who loves a good email to a professor, loves to knock office hours, what did I do here? Why did I get this? And question, and I feel like I get validation from that feedback. How do you deal with that in the workplace, growing in your career without having that constant review and feedback to know what to do? Another question, when you talk about resilience, we have Christmas vacation, July, August. We are on that constant hamster wheel, and I don't know about everybody else, but I tend to get really burnt out. So when I go into a career, I don't have that break as you guys talked about. So how do you build that resilience, and how do you bounce back and learn to pivot when you feel burnt out in your career?
Can I take the first question? Or you want to take the first question? Okay. So for the first question about getting like evaluation or so, I'm not sure about every workplace, but at least where I'm from, we do regular staff appraisals. So you do and should get feedback, because I think if any member of staff or employee has to continue, then you should meet on a somewhat regular basis to give some kind of evaluation feedback, see which are your strong skills. You do like a SWOT, so your strengths, your weaknesses, opportunities, threats. So same way that you do it for the organization as a whole, you should actually do it with your employees to see where we can improve and what is already there, and we can just move forward with that. So regular staff appraisals, I believe, is something that should actually be done. So as much as we mention it, as it's not something that you get feedback on, it's actually something that you will get some kind of feedback on from time to time. And you yourself as the professional, let me say, not as an employee, but you yourself as a professional, you can do your own like internal like retrospect as well, and see where you need room for improvement and where you've done well, and you would naturally get feedback. So if it's a product-based profession or even service-based, you will get feedback from your clients, and your product in itself or your service, it speaks for itself based on the results in itself. So that in itself can also tell you as well. And where we're talking about transferable skills, is all about being open to criticism, feedback, whether it may be positive or negative. And something else I wanted to mention, I know I could really go on and on. Something else I wanted to mention about the appraisals, but basically professional development is also very important. So whereas you know you may have a specific weakness, whether it may be feedback from a colleague or personally, you should always do continuous personal or professional development. So it doesn't just stop here, because I'm not sure about the other professions, but my profession specifically, every year we have to maintain a minimum of 15 credits of professional development, whatever area that we decide we want to do, whether it's an expanse of the dietetic field or otherwise, but we must maintain those 15 credits in order to practice for the following year, you know? So that's just my answer for your first question about feedback. And the second question.
Anyone want to take the resilience part real quickly?
I'll take the resilience. So one of the things I do to keep myself on track, I have a goal. I have a bunch of goals that I have at a certain point. It's not by age point, but it's by like end of the year, I want to have X, Y, and Z. I want to have a publication out. I want to have certain things out. And when I start feeling burnt out, I say, okay, I need to take a rest, but I also need to readjust my goals. I need to take stock of where I am, what I'm doing, those goals I had set before, are they still the focal point of my life? Do I need to modify them? Do I need to change? What am I doing now that I need to adjust?
Great, thank you. Okay, so I can only take one more question, right? And I might get in trouble for this, but I'm gonna try to do this real strategic so that we get them. So it had 2 hands, and I'm seeing a third one, and we have 4 people. So it's gonna be one. So y'all, okay, so it's 4 people, right? Y'all are gonna all ask your questions, and then my panel are gonna give you 1-minute answers, and then we're gonna wrap, right? So stand up, ask your questions, because I don't want to leave anybody out, right? So if we can just do this very, very quickly. Oh gosh, I'm feeling like the DSSA team probably watching, right? And like, but I'm still gonna do it because it's all for the love of the students, right? So you go first, real quickly. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, afternoon. My name is Caris, and I'm from. Hi. And I'm from Faculty of Social Sciences. I know you would have mentioned communication, and I just wanted to know about 3 quick communication tips that we could apply on a daily.
All right, great. So we have communication tips, and what do we have on this side?
Hi, my name is Jade Pasal from the Faculty of Humanities and Education, and I just wanted to know your best general tips for interviews.
All right, so communication, interviews, and we have one more here. Yeah? Oh, we have 2 more right there.
This guy in the back, yeah.
If we can just get a mic to the gentleman.
Hi, my name is Priyanka. I'm from the Faculty of Law, and I have a question in particular. I'm right here. Right. I have a question in particular for Joshua. I just wanted to know, at what point in your law career did you know the type of law you wanted to practice?
All right, so we already know Joshua. I have one question. Great. And the last question.
Good afternoon. I'm Nathaniel Robinson from the Faculty of Engineering. You mentioned something very important earlier about availability as a young professional. I wanted to know, how do you find the middle ground between being available and overextending yourself? Because I'm aware that many persons, as you just get into the field, will use that as an opportunity to use young professionals more so than the norm.
All right, great. So we have 4 nice questions, so 1 minute answers. Let's go. Joshua. For the law. Yeah.
It's 1 minute, 1 minute to cover all questions.
No, 1 minute to answer your question that she asked. Yes.
My question. My carry on. So, law comes in 2 sets: non-contentious, contentious. What I did is I first said, okay, what are my skills best suited for? Now you are smart, you could be technical, but if you want to do everything. So my skill was best suited for litigation. So then within litigation, I looked to the field of litigation that I had the most passion for. But in my career, I have to do other things in litigation. So I just looked for the enablers. So let's say this is the 3 rounds. 1, I look at my skills. I said it's better suited for litigation. You may do differently. Within litigation, then I look at the sector in litigation that's best suited for me. That's how I chose that.
Great, nice. Thank you. And there was a question about communication, 3 communication skills. Who would like to take that one?
Okay. Active listening skills, 1. Always listen to understand and not to necessarily respond. The second thing is being humble. You know, in the world of work, humility goes a very long way. And what will I say is the third thing for communication skills in the world of
I would
work?
say to be clear.
To be clear and concise, yeah.
Absolutely clear about what it is you are saying. Yeah. I think would be my tip.
I'll take the interview question.
Great interview question.
So I've conducted a bunch of interviews, and one thing I really like from people who I'm interviewing, if they come prepared and if they come with a solution. Even if I don't tell them I have a problem, they do the research and they could be like, oh, you do a summer camp every year with a capstone. I think this would be a great idea for you to do as a capstone. If you come prepared and you have a solution, and you are goal oriented and solution oriented, instantly you get bonus points in my book.
Okay, nice. Yeah, so I guess I'll be doing the middle ground. Overextending yourself. Question. This may be a controversial opinion, but in my opinion, when you're now starting to work, you're going to be burnt out. But that's the beauty of now starting to work. You need to overextend yourself to be able to learn. And it's not going to last forever, obviously. You don't want 5 years down the line and people are using you. So over the period of using the opportunity to be burnt out, overextended, do everything, get your hands on everything, yes, people will see it as an opportunity to work for their dollar because you're now starting. But you have to look at it as an opportunity for your professional development. Like, there's nothing wrong with putting in the extra hours because it's helping you. And then as you go through the process of learning is where you could decide what are your limits, what do you want to do, what do you not want to do. And as you become a professional and you get the experiences when you could start filtering out, okay, well, maybe I don't want to focus and this sector is not beneficial to me, but I will take up other work with this. But when you now start working, and we see this, I'm so glad you asked it because it actually gets me upset. We see it a lot of time when people come in with a sense of entitlement. And, you know, I did mechanical engineering. So I just want to do mechanical engineering, and I study static equipment, so I just want to do static equipment. And at that point in time, they needed the company. Might be rotating equipment, or it might not. So I did mechanical engineering, but right now I do reliability engineering, which is all types of engineering. So you need to be able to learn and to be willing to learn and put in the work in the forefront, because at the beginning of your career is where the opportunity starts for you to take advantage of that, learn as much as you can, absorb as much as you can, and don't be demanding when you now start like you literally don't. I am graduated 6 years ago, working for 6 years, and that's still nothing compared to experience in the oil and gas industry. Like, I literally count as somebody who's still entry level. So you still need to be able to, even now, there are times where I will go out of myself, and some days I would work from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., and it's just to get the work done, to get the job done. But I know that in the long run, this is benefiting me. This is benefiting what I want. I like nice things in life. I want to keep my job. I want to progress as well. So if it is, I know, is a benefit to me, I will put in the work. And I think we have lost, I would say that has been lost somewhere in transition, where people come in and they feel entitled to, okay, well, I did engineering, I did this, and I just want to focus on this section, so don't ask me to do anything else. But it's really, you have to make yourself open to learning other things. Yes, you would feel tired. Yes, you will feel burnt out. But that is honestly, to me, the beauty in it. And it also is a testament to yourself, right? As everybody else was saying. When you put yourself out, if they see Shalika as somebody who, if you actually get to do 10 things, she will take on the 10 things. And nobody's saying, if you can't do the 10 things, take it on. If you can't do it, say, okay, I can't do it. But if you're willing to take it on, people will then look for opportunities to give you things to do. And that's how you'll be able to refine your skill set and that kind of thing. So nothing is wrong with when you're now starting out, feeling that pressure, feeling that tiredness, feeling like that. But I would just say use it as an opportunity for growth for yourself, and set a target, and also just, you know, grow over the period of time to determine what your limits are, when it is you need to take your rest breaks, and that kind of thing. So I'm sorry if that's not what you wanted to hear, but it is the reality of it. Like, you're really going to need to put yourself aside to focus on it. And engineering is not something easy. Like, even if, it don't matter which sector you're going to with engineering, it is not something easy. You have to put in the work, otherwise it's not going to reap the benefits. And the benefits has come after you put in the work. So you need to just like put yourself aside, get into it, look like a mess sometimes, don't get sleep sometimes, and then just know in the end, it's for you, you're gonna make the salary you want because you put in the work beforehand. Like, that's how people is recognize people that they want to work with them. Engineer is something that you have to give of yourself. Like, you have to be able to just be selfless about it to get the actual benefits of it. And I don't know if that's for all professions, but yeah.
Thank you.
But not sorry.
No. Thank you very much. And I guess to sum it up, what I will say is that I'm a very boundaries type of gal, right? And I'm also a Gen Z. So, you know, sometimes we don't work on minutes after 4 o'clock. But, you know, when I hear Shalika talking about, you know, you have to work in order to be able to get the benefits that you want. You know, she is right, and there is a way that you can work hard and go the extra mile with also setting your own boundaries. As I said, I am a boundaries gal, right? Nobody cannot trample my boundaries. And I am very sure what my boundaries are, but I'm also cognizant of the fact that I am junior in my work, and in order for me to be valued the way I want to be valued, I do have to put in the extra work. So I just have a little balance. Like, for example, I'm a master's student. I know what days of the week that I have class. So on Wednesdays, I cannot work a day later than 4 o'clock. But maybe on Tuesdays I can. And then another boundary, or something that helps me, is that if it is a task that I am responsible for, I will go the extra mile and get it done. But if it's something that I know can absolutely be picked up at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, it will stay right there until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Because some things, as Joshua mentioned, big things sometimes are not very that much big things, and sometimes it's smaller than that. So you have to be able to identify what your balance is, what works for you. Set your boundaries, but also you need to understand that you need to work in order to get the benefits. The benefits don't come first and then you work. It don't work like that. You have to work, especially when you're young. This is your time. This is your time to really prove yourself but balance. I think balance is key. But know when you are being exploited, and know when you will be rewarded. That's also important. There are some managers and some organizations that will exploit you versus others that will appreciate, yes, but Joshua stayed back on Monday and on Tuesday. Oh yeah, take Friday half day. No. Know when you will be rewarded and know when you're being exploited. And that, takes emotional intelligence and will only come with experience. So don't be too hard on yourselves when you now start. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for having me and for having this wonderful panel. I wish all of you the absolute best and good luck in your journey. And just know the challenges are going to come, but just keep at it and take care of yourself and all will be well. So thank you very much.
Okay, so I'm completely blown away by this discussion. You all exceeded our expectations. When did you all get so smart? Like, oh my gosh. We have a time crunch, right? So I want to quickly say thank you. And I'm rushing, not because we don't appreciate it. So, of course, to our faculty, staff, I saw some of them, I don't know if they're still here. We thank you for your usual support. To Dr. Charles, thank you very much for your support and staying with us. To Republic Bank, Latoya, and the other representatives who came, we thank you so much for that. Thank you to the alumni. Thank you to the Guild for their representation. Thank you to Unicoma for their generous provision of seating. We appreciate that. And to all our students who came out, we thank you so very much. And of course, we want to take the time to thank our panelists for taking the time to show up, to share your wisdom, truly wisdom. It can come at a young age, guys, right? You have seen it here for yourselves. I mean, I was taking notes. I learned some stuff. So we want to give them thanks, and we want to take the time to do a little bit of photos as we give a token of appreciation to our panelists. To our students, look out for the emails. We have information on WOW On Demand. If you missed anything, you can get it on My eLearning. We also have mock interviews coming up. You all heard Shaleka. Go to the mock interview. I will say no more about that. So look out for those communications coming up, and stay plugged in with the WOW program.